The future. When I think of the future, I think of... When you think of the future, what do you think of? Screens in your car, screens on your face, screens on your screens. This is a keyboard. This is a screen. Now, what if I told you we could combine both of those things to make a keyboard with a screen? Howdy hey, I'm Hipyo Tech, and today we're doing just that. Yes, I bought a green screen just for this bit. I'm not proud of it. Originally, I had a plan to go through and build this whole entire keyboard from scratch, and then I did a simple Google search and realized that a keyboard with a screen already exists. However, there's one glaring problem. The keyboard of the future should talk and sound amazing and look cool. What is this, some type of impasta? Obviously, I had to do something about it, so I'm gonna guide you through my whole entire process of building the keyboard of the future. Now, let me take you back to the beginning, where I was...
Sorry, I'm so clumsy.
Anyways, sorry not sorry, I am incredibly clumsy. Get it? Because the board is named Kwumsy, so it's funny. Speaking of funny, it's not funny that 96% of you thought I was gonna name a subscriber number, but you should subscribe anyways. Anyways, this keyboard of the future came in at... Wait. We spent $395 on this? You're serious? $395, it looks like plastic. It looks like garbage.
Who approved this budget? Who did it? Jerry? When was the return window? 30 days ago?
Oh my god. So anyways, I'm gonna be unboxing this keyboard. Now, at first glance, this keyboard looks like it's pretty bad quality, but it has an HDMI cable, which I'll look into later. Honestly, the cables that it came with are pretty nice. There's also a really nice USB-C cable that I'm assuming is for phones or something, and a wrist rest that's absolute garbage. But wait, is this a keycap and switch puller? Is this gonna be hot swap? Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. Now, as I mentioned before, my first impressions of this thing is that it feels incredibly cheap. Like it's an odd square shape, and your keyboards shouldn't be square shaped, they should be rectangles. But check out this peel, just, And instantly, my $400 is worth it. I mean, just look at that screen, it's so off. Well, I'll try to get that to work in a second, but let's talk about the keyboard. It's like a 65%-ish, so it keeps the arrow keys, but it says screw you to the F row. With the incredibly large forehead, same. I don't think this guy is saving much space, but hey, it's got 2 USB ports on top. That's pretty good. And looking all around the keyboard, you'll notice it's all plastic. Always has been.
I don't care about plastic.
But we'll check out the internals in a second, right after we check out, ooh, the flippy feet. Flippy feet are kind of nice, right? Now, we're about 3 minutes into the video, and you're probably wondering, hey, Hipyo, how come you haven't turned this thing on? Well, I don't want to talk about it. Let's listen to it instead. Now, I was incredibly sad when I heard this thing, and that they stuck blue switches in it. So my only hope is that they made it hot swappable so I can actually change this without having to desolder everything. So please pray for me. Speaking of pray, I could not get this thing's monitor to work at all with the USB-C cable because I'm dumb and my computer didn't support display over USB-C. I think the USB-C cable part is for if you're using a phone or a tablet, like you could plug that in and use it as a monitor and a keyboard. But the keyboard portion actually worked quite well, and this reveals the RGB, which is standard, I guess. It's fine, it's RGB, look at it go. Then I thought back to that cable that came in the box. The cable with the HDMI cable. Ah, of course. So then I plugged it in, and when you turn this thing on, it says Kwumsy. That was a little meow in the background. My cat just woke up.
No. Oh, let's go. Let's go, baby. Woo. Wait, that's my monitor. That's my wallpaper. No way.
Now, as you could tell, I was so excited by this thing finally working that I was too dumb to get the shots in focus. But let's talk about that monitor just a little bit. It's decently bright, has decent viewing angles, and overall it's a pretty good screen. Now, this isn't your next cinematic 4K experience, like the actual resolution. Hold on, I'm looking at it. 1920 by 515p. So it's kind of like 1080p, but you know, they sliced it down the top. Now, originally I was like, okay, keyboard of the future. Let's go. We can do so many things with it. And then I was like, wait, what can you actually do with it? So I was like, I'll put Discord on it and that'll look okay. And it works, but Discord definitely has some issues where like let me just show you. I'm gonna post a GIF and it doesn't show up in the screen at all. Okay. So it's incredibly narrow and a lot of the content that you're gonna wanna watch isn't gonna show up and utilize the full screen. So there's very limited use cases for this thing. Like, for example, here's a YouTube video, aka Hipyo Tech YouTube video, and it was cropped. And let me just talk about the build quality for a second here. It's plastic, did I mention that? It's not very great, a little bit disappointed here. But maybe the switches won't disappoint me. And I'm disappointed. Okay, they're blue switches, I'm disappointed. Now there's nothing inherently wrong with blue switches, but stock blue switches are inherently wrong. Also, the keycaps are very bad quality double shot ABS. But is it hot swap? It's hot swap? Okay, not bad. We can work with that. I'm gonna be able to mod this thing and make it very good. Because my overall impressions are that they took a nice screen and strapped it to like a $50 keyboard chassis. Oh, yeah. Now, maybe the nice screen covers the price, but that's not good enough for me. I wanna make it as good as possible. Because in the future, keyboards should already come pre-lubed and pre-built or whatever. So I had to set out with a plan. First, I'm gonna remove these terrible switches. Then, I'm gonna mod the chassis to be as good as humanly possible. And then, the cherry on top, some good keycaps. A side detour to my plan is I'm gonna replace these stabilizers because they're quite bad. And remember, we want this thing to be good. Speaking of good, check out the WoW stick with the link in the bottom left that says view products. Anyways, with a billion screws undone, I've got the keyboard open, and this actually looks quite a lot different than I was expecting. My first order of operations to make the keyboard sound better is this kill mat. I'm gonna cut it down to size and then place it in this little dead space here. You're probably wondering, Hipyo, why aren't you touching the rest of the case? Well, to be honest, it scares me. I know with normal big size monitors, there's capacitors in there that could kill a man. I was not about to fiddle around with this thing as I'm not an electronics guy. I'm like a keyboard build type guy. And I don't want to die for a video. That'd be pretty cringe. Speaking of pretty cringe, this is the part of the video where I start to get quite sad. Okay, wait, it's not actually here yet, but that's coming. This is the part of the video where I'm about to make the keyboard sound really good and then get sad later. We're gonna get sad later. Now, some of you have seen this. This is the Hipyo mod, aka the press and seal mod. Literally what I do is I take a long sheet of press and seal and I sandwich it around my PCB. Now, I don't recommend this, even though it's the Hipyo mod, I don't recommend this as it'll create a decent amount of static electricity that if you're not very safe with could zap your whole PCB. In this case, it's definitely not gonna happen, not at all, never going to happen. Also, what it's gonna do is it's gonna make the board sound a bit poppier. Nice. Then I'm gonna take some more kill mat, and if you're wondering what this is, I've got a whole video on it, link in the top right. And my cat Nola is gonna help me out. Yeah. Now you're probably wondering, why are you doing all these mods, Hipyo? Well, each mod has its own little way of making the keyboard sound better. And my favorite mod is throwing away all the keycaps and switches that I'm never going to use again. I'm just kidding, they go into my closet where they'll rot forever. Next, I'm gonna use these switches that I got from Keeps for All, and they're looped and filmed. I forgot what switches they are. Please don't make me remember. It was so long ago. Now, one thing that you might have noticed that I sure as hell didn't was that the LEDs are on the north side of the PCB, not the south side like I'm used to for almost every keyboard. So I put all these switches into this plate backwards and had to redo the whole entire thing. You thought this is the part where I got sad? No, it's not. That's not here yet. Now, the reason why I'm assembling this thing like this, like an absolute maniac, is because the plate did not come with any standoffs, and the alternative was cry a lot. So the next step was get a little bit of therapy from my cat. I feel a lot better. And then lube some stabilizers. I got some Duroc plate mount stabilizers, which are always working and never going to have any issues with this build whatsoever. And then my cat helped me lube them, totally helped me lube them. Oh, did I say no issues whatsoever? They didn't fit in the plate. They didn't fit. So then I had to go back and lube the stock stabilizers, and then they fit because they were the stock stabilizers that came with the board. God! I'll spare you all the gory details about how badly I messed that up, but here we go. We've got the plate and PCB back in the board, and it's time to take a pasta break. Yeah, I showed the pasta earlier, so now I have to show it again. It was leftovers, it's not that great, but it works. Leave a comment of your favorite type of pasta down below. Thank you very much. Next, I got these keycaps from Velocifier. They're the QX Carmine Cloud keycaps. I have no idea what that means. And they are incredibly pretty dye-sub PBT keycaps that were only $55. PBT tends to sound deeper and thockier, so I figured that would be a little bit better for this build. And really, I needed to go cheaper. So there we go, we've got the keycaps on. Now, one thing that I really love about this keyboard is that I can change the backgrounds of my desktop as I change the keycap sets on this keyboard. That is a very cool redeeming quality. I can tie it into any desk mat, any keycap set. Switches kind of matter, but not really. Now, this is definitely a really cool way to customize my desk, but whether or not it was worth $400 or like $500 after modding it, no, not really. Like, sure, it's the keyboard of the future, I guess. It's got a screen on it. That's really cool. If you're doing a typing test, you can see it just right there, which I think is amazing. But like any new technology, it always just ends up expensive, and early adopters have to pay an arm and a leg. And I don't know if I would give up an arm and a leg for this thing. That's like at least 2 things I use to walk. But I'm incredibly curious as to what you think about this thing. Will you get it? If you get it, what would you put on the screen? Like, Discord is basically the only good use case I've found for this thing, and even that is a little bit eh. But you're probably wondering what it sounds like, so I'll leave you with the sound test of the before and after. Listen to the whole thing to support my YouTube algorithm overlords, and also leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Bye.